Hello there guys, my name is Eelwood and today we're going to be reviewing Volgarr the Viking, and to answer the ultimate question, is it worth your time? So, Volgarr the Viking is a difficult single-player fantasy action pixel graphic platformer where you play as a Viking hero named Volgarr, chosen by the god Odin to defeat an evil dragon in his castle. Equipped with a sword and shield, you traverse different planes, collect treasure and artifacts of war, all while turning a variety of enemies into piles of blood and bone. Well, if it doesn't happen to you first, that is. So, aesthetically this game looks absolutely amazing. I remember when this trailer came out a while back now, I was watching it thinking, hulking Viking character, power-up systems only via artifacts in chests, you die in 1 to 3 hits, I need this fucking game. The game has a 16-bit art style to it. The pixel artists have done an amazing job with literally everything in the game. Amazing detail for the amount of pixels used. Good mix between light and dark colours, most noticeably on interactable objects like chests and enemies to help them stand out from the background graphics more. No real lighting effects used other than the odd torch here and there. Couple this with literally no UI at all and you get a nice old school feel to the game. The level layouts are nice and simple with very rare alternative routes to take and no real backtracking, which is always welcome. The backgrounds of each level are very smooth and highly detailed with no repeating graphics, which gives the illusion of a much larger world, not just scale, which really adds to the immersion of the game. The character and enemy sprites look phenomenal, very high quality frames for the movement and attack animations, all without questioning physics too much. All the sound effects in Volgarr the Viking are high quality and quite unique, most likely made specifically for the game rather than taken from a source. The soundtracks of Volgarr the Viking are fully orchestrated, very strong, powerful, dramatic and bold music, with each level OST maintaining the strength of the last, but at the same time having a unique feel to relate to the level specifically. But they are quite serious and complex, and can become quite tedious as well, especially when you keep dying over and over. Now for the gameplay. So as I mentioned earlier, Volgarr the Viking is a difficult game. So difficult in fact, it's one of the game's user tags on Steam. And take my word for it, they're not lying either. And while on the subject of difficulty, Volgarr the Viking's difficulty is set, which means no option to change it, which I love. Not enough games have this feature these days. While playing each level, the goal is to actually get to the end while getting hit as little as possible, so you have at least some chance against that level's boss, which is obviously easier said than done. This is because every single time you die, you're sent all the way back to the crystal checkpoints, which there are only 2 per level. And just wait until you get to the boss fights, because dying on those sends you back to the halfway checkpoint, again and again and again. Fortunately, as you are Odin's chosen, you do have some pretty good skills and equipment to help you out. You have of course his starting Viking sword, shield and spear. The sword is able to one-shot most standard enemies with decent range and allows you to crouch attack and airborne downwards attack. The shield is able to block 2 hits without breaking and is your first line of defense before death. And the spear allows you to create platforms if you're not too close to a wall, and also does the same damage as the sword. So your first power up, so to speak, is the hammer shield, allowing you to block indefinitely and gives you a charged spear ability that travels through enemies and deals more damage. Your second power up is the Balder's helmet, giving you faster attack speed and is your second line of defense before death. And the final power-up is the Tyr's Flame, and apologies for my pronunciation there. The Tyr's Flame is essentially a flame sword that gives you further attack range and doubles the damage of the Viking sword. Apart from power-ups, your general abilities include rolling, and you're able to double jump as well. The roll is to avoid attacks, and if you're very precise, you can actually roll through enemies without taking damage. The double jump is quite high, comes with a built-in sword slash, but doesn't allow you to alter momentum during the jump, which means the direction you're jumping in you are committed to no matter what, which does take a bit of getting used to. Each enemy in Volgarr the Viking is very fast, ruthless and aggressive. getting progressively more difficult to kill and to deal with as you progress the game, often increasing in size and quantity per level. Bosses are just as aggressive, very unique, and really require you to use your head in order to beat them, which is extremely satisfying when you actually do. Now, you are on your own in Volgarr the Viking, with no NPCs to really interact with. You don't get any kind of help off any characters in-game, and no real advice, other than the tiny part of the first level. Should you be good enough not to get hit while fully powered up, and continue to open power-up chests through the level, you will either find treasure of higher value, or warrior spirits. Now, warrior spirits are a sort of currency. When the level is completed, these spirits allow you to access the Valkyrie levels, which are harder versions of the area you would have been on, except the amount of spirits you have collected are the amount of attempts you are allowed on these harder levels before being reverted back to the original, which opens more gameplay options and experiences to the more skilled player. So guys, for the ultimate question, is it worth your time? My answer: if you're a skilled gamer with bigger than average balls, or you just really want to improve your platforming skills, this game is a must. If not, it may not be your first choice. I'm going to give this game a 4-star, or 81 out of 100. I feel the developers Crazy Viking Studios have done a really good, close to perfect job in delivering their version of what they wanted the game to be to the player. The game is brilliant, enemies and bosses are brilliant, almost everything in this game is brilliant, and it's definitely worth the price. But I feel there are a few important things that could have been better. The soundtrack, for example, I feel is a bit too serious and too realistic. This wouldn't be an issue for a lot of games out there, but in Volgarr the Viking, the average player is going to die a lot, and will be hearing the same songs over and over and over again. If they integrated more of a 16-bit feel into each song, still maintaining the strength and power of each OST, but giving us more catchy, enjoyable music, the music wouldn't be so unbearable, and dying over and over wouldn't be that bad. The story in Volgarr the Viking is very basic and straight to the point. Yes, I know they do tell a decent amount of story in the game's manual, but let's be honest, who looks at a game manual these days? But I feel if they had possible dialogue with voice acting maybe, or at least some NPC interaction like friends to save or a family to avenge, with possible progressive storytelling after each boss, it would give the player at least some sort of motivation to continue onwards through the game, enduring the perils ahead. And I feel if that was the case, the immersion of the game would be a lot stronger for me, and thus the game a higher rating. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see other games I'll be reviewing each week, and comment if you have something to say or if you have any game requests for me. I'll see what I can do. But all the best guys, take care.